Welcome to another episode here on Your Digital Makeover. My name is Jerry Colbert, and in today's episode, I'm going to show you all how I utilize YNAB, and it's all coming up next. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you all how I use YNAB. Now, if any of y'all have not used YNAB before, YNAB is basically a budgeting software. However, it's a lot better than most budgeting apps out there. It has a lot more flexibility, I think, a lot more, I think it's just more intuitive, to be honest with you. It's just got everything that I want in a budgeting app, and it allows me to have a little bit of flexibility while keeping me on track on my budget as well as on my just paying off debts and just staying debt free and such. Now it's really good at getting you out of debt too. So today I just kind of want to show you all briefly an overview of YNAB and how I'm utilizing YNAB, but in later episodes, I'll go over it in a little bit more detail, have a little bit different segments and stuff. So I'm not really sure how many episodes I'm going to do in this series, but I'm just going to give you all a brief overview today, show you what YNAB is all about if you're not accustomed to what YNAB is. And what does YNAB even stand for? Well, it stands for You Need a Budget. That's right. You need a budget. And so if you haven't ever used a budgeting software, there's a whole bunch of them out there. You got, I think Quicken does a little bit of budgeting. Also, Mint, which is also by Quicken, which I think Mint, as of this recording, and we're recording on, what is today's date? November 3rd. Mint is actually ceasing operations, surprisingly. And I used Mint a long time ago. And I just never really could, I don't know, just the budgeting thing just never really went very well for me, even utilizing Mint. And although it was, free and it had a lot of good stuff to it, I just never could get into it, to be honest with you. Now, I will say with YNAB, though, I've been with them for a few years now, and it's literally the best budgeting app that I have found out there. Really is, hands down, really great. I did use, I can't remember the name of it, but Dave Ramsey had a budgeting app and probably still does out there. And I used that for a little bit when I went through the Financial Peace University course. And I utilized it, and it did help get me on track and understanding why I was in debt and what I needed to do to, get out of it with the debt snowball and everything. But YNAB, though, kind of really helped me just hone it in a little bit better. And, the budgeting app from Dave Ramsey's group, it had a lot of good stuff to it, but there was just some things that was just lacking. And I think YNAB kind of reined that in for me. So like I say, YNAB is a budgeting app, and as you see here on the screen, I have it opened up, and I'll just kind of give you all a brief overview of what it's all about. So over here to the left in this blue column here, you have the budget that I'm on, right? And I'm just showing you the demo account that I created on YNAB for right now, so I can play around with numbers and not mess up my real budget. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this right here. So you got the budget here, which is what I'm on right now. Then you got reports, and then you got all accounts. And then underneath that, you have the account section, which is broken up into different tiers. Okay. Now, when you first start YNAB, it'll have something different over here. I think it's just budget, and it don't have loans or tracking. I added that in just for this demo account. But it'll be pretty much blank over here, and you got to add in your accounts by just clicking the add account. And it's really simple, and I'll show you later how to add accounts, but right now I just want to show you the brief overview. So you got this budget here, and everything here in this section here right? It goes pretty much not in line with this, but this is all the money that you have, and this has to do with the budgeting. Now, the loans here also go into the budgeting section, but the tracking accounts does not go in the budgeting section. And I'll explain that to you all later, but basically, in a nutshell, the tracking is just assets that I want to keep track of to give myself a better picture of my net worth. Because, it's all great to have all your cash and everything, and then you got your loan, and you're like, man, I'm so much in debt, but are you really? Did you count that car asset? Did you count the mortgage asset that you have? Are you really that far in debt? You might be as far as loans go, but if you're, like for instance, if your mortgage, the appraisal value of your mortgage is more than your actual loan, then you're in debt, but you're not as in debt as you would be if you weren't looking at the true picture. And I think the tracking accounts help you have a better true picture of how you really set financially. So that's a really good feature of this. But this section here, the budget and the loans, is what's going to, this section, these accounts, these cash accounts, the checking accounts, savings accounts, right, and your credit cards and your loans all make up your budget and what you're going to utilize in order to pay off loans and how to divvy up your money and give every dollar a job. Because you see, when you have your money in your checking account and your savings account, you don't really know where that money's going to. You have no idea. I mean, is it going towards rent? Is it going towards groceries? What is it doing? We don't really know. It's just willy-nilly just paying stuff, right? And then we run out of money and we wonder why. Well, with a budget, that helps rein all that in. You know what every dollar's doing, right? So basically, all of this right here is going to wind up here. All your cash, all your liquid assets, all of that is going to be in your budget. Now, if you notice how the budget says $7,000, but I have $8,000 ready to assign. Well, that's because this part right here is taking consideration that $1,000 debt that I have with that credit card. But this $8,000 is just taking consideration the checking account and the savings account money, because that's the liquid cash that I have to utilize to pay my credit cards, my loans, my mortgage, my groceries, my fuel, all kinds of different things, right? So when you first start YNAB and you create yourselves your little accounts, now, of course, I put checking account number 1, checking account number 2, savings account. Of course, you can rename those, whatever they are, whatever your bank is, whether that's Regions or PNC or whatever bank it is, you can name them that, right, and put those, and you can even link the accounts. It's really easy. When you click on the add account here, it'll give you an option to link it. So you can automatically import transactions from your bank if your bank is part of the network that they have. And I think they use Plaid, I believe it is, to download the transactions from your bank. Or you can do it as unlinked. And in this case, I have it unlinked because there's no check mark beside it. So that means it's pretty much unlinked. All right. And so these checking accounts and savings account, when you click on them, it takes you to the checking account that you clicked on, and that's where all your transactions will lie. So anytime you need to put a transaction, you put it in here, and it automatically, when you go to the category, you'll assign it to whatever category you want, and then it automatically takes it out of your budgeted category that you selected for that transaction. So you'll be working in two different areas. You'll be working in your budget here, and you'll also be working in your whatever account that you did your transaction out of, right? And same goes with your credit card. Maybe you purchase something on a credit card. You're going to add a transaction there. For your loan accounts, they're set up a little bit different. We'll kind of go over that in a different episode. But your loan accounts are a little bit different in how they help you manage your loan and even kind of give you a kind of a payoff simulator. It's kind of cool, you know. You don't have to go anywhere else to figure out, what if I paid this amount extra a month? How much more debt can I get out of? And how soon can I get out of that debt, right? And then, of course, you got your tracking right here, like I was explaining to you a little bit earlier, that this is just for tracking your assets, right? And you'll just keep that updated. You have a reconciliation, just like you do in a lot of financial software like Quicken or whatever, where you can reconcile it against your statement. And so that's basically this list section here. Now, over here in this section, I set these categories up based upon sort of like I have my categories set up on my real YNAB budget. Now, when you first set up YNAB, they come with generic categories, and you can either accept those and go with that, or you can change them and go with something else. I found that after a few years of working that this is probably one of my best setups for what I got. Now, of course, all of these categories might not pertain to you, but take, what you see I have here and implement it into your budget, and then stuff that you don't need, just throw it out. But this is a majority of what I actually have in my budget. There are a few things I left out for obvious reasons, but this is what I found works best. And so as you see here, I have a category group. So you can take your categories and group them to help you organize what is actually there in your categories and what they actually pertain to. It just helps you organize better, I think, by having category groups than just having a whole list of categories. And you're like, man, did I add that fuel in there and as a category? Did I add this or that, right? This just helps you kind of rein that in. So from top to bottom, I have a holding tank. We'll go into that in a different episode of why I have a holding tank. But basically, a holding tank is any money that I might have received and I just don't know what to do with it. I haven't made up my mind. Maybe I want to talk to my partner or my spouse or what have you and decide where are we going to put that money. Are we going to put it in, for my fuel? Are we going to put it in for groceries? Are we going to put it in maybe for the next month, right? What are we going to do with that money? Maybe I just don't know. So I put in a few categories here that you might find useful, like extra money not yet budgeted for. Maybe there's some extra money that maybe I've already budgeted for this whole month, and I got some extra money that in my paycheck that came in, and I don't really know what to do with it, right? So I'll just put it right here, assign it there until I figure out what to do with it, and then I'll move it out of there into whatever category I want to go in. Future months is basically maybe I want to, one of the cool things about YNAB is that maybe you're living paycheck by paycheck right now, but eventually you want to kind of work up where you can actually have your whole month budgeted for and all the money available for that month right away and be a month ahead. So you can put that paycheck into next month and start budgeting next month while you're still on this month, already having your bills already ready to be paid for, right? And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail, but future months is basically maybe I want to park some of my paychecks right here until I decide what I'm going to pay for in future months, right? And what I want to use that money to be in the budget for the next month. Now, with YNAB, you can only go so far ahead. So as you see here, I'm in November, and then I can only go to December. When I get closer to the end of November, January will open up. But right now, I can only usually budget 1 month ahead, okay? And then also, just so you know, up here, you see this November 2023. Well, you have a notes section. I usually put in how much money I'm expecting in for that month, whether that's my paycheck or Social Security or whatever. I'll put in that what I'm expecting. It just kind of helps me know when I am assigning my money, and whenever I'm actually taking some of these and adding targets, and I see how many goals I have set up, if that's in line with the amount of money that I have coming in, right, or that I'm expecting to come in. Just helps me keep my budget in. So, I don't want to create goals here and have like $7,000 worth of expenses that I've earmarked for my budget, but I'm only taking in $5,000, right? So that wouldn't make much sense. So this just helps me keep that in my head of how that's working. And we'll go over that in a little bit later episode on how that works. Now, down here, you see I also have rebates and cashbacks. Well, that's just for like a lot of times, when I'm using my credit card, I'll get a rebate on the credit card. It just gets parked here, and then I send that to one of the other categories if I see it's underfunded. Okay. And then reimbursable expenses for my job. And this might be true for your job. Maybe you get reimbursed for something that you bought. You can park that expense here when you do it in your transactions, right? When you do your transaction, I received money from such and such. It's a reimbursement, goes here, and then you can move it to whatever area you want to help fund that area, okay? And that's basically what the holding tank is. Now, the tithing area, I always had that at the top here. So maybe you want to give charitable donations and such. That's what this section here is for. Then you have the credit card section. Now, usually you don't have this section unless you actually have a credit card debt. So once you create a credit card debt, this section will automatically pop up for you with that association with that credit card right there. Okay. Loans. Typically, when you create your loan here, it does not create a category, though during the loan setup, it will allow you to create a category or assign it to a category that's already in your budget. Okay. Here is my food and supplements, groceries, vitamins, supplements, eating out, transportation, everything related to transportation, everything related to my housing accounts, right? Everything related to my pets, everything related to utilities, and everything related to insurance, everything related to health, miscellaneous, gifts, personal care, TV subscriptions, and other subscriptions. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, why do you got two different ones? Just have it under subscriptions. Well, I like to know how much I'm spending on TV entertainment. And so I like to separate that out from outside of my other subscriptions. You don't have to. You can just have one subscription if it ain't that big of a deal to you. But for me, I just kind of like to separate it out. Just for fun, just for any kind of entertainment stuff, right? And then I have interest and fees down here because maybe you have some loans that has something you want to budget that in because that's going to hit you. Trips I have here for vacations and savings goals down here. Now, typically, the trips and the savings goals, even though I might have that budgeted, like say, for instance, I say, hey, I'm going on a trip or a vacation in October 2024. I might want to set some money aside, set myself a target, a goal, how much I want to save towards that goal, right? But once that actually occurs, the vacation might have what? A rental car, might have a hotel, it might have airplane, right? Well, once that time arrives and I fully funded that and it's time to go on vacation, then once I come back from vacation and have all my receipts, I'll wind up putting those receipts and assign them to the correct categories, but then move that money from vacation to the correct categories. So like, for instance, if you come up here to transportation, I have, I usually have airlines, but I don't have it in this demo, but maybe I'll put it in the demo for the next time. But maybe I got a taxi while I was there, right? Also, rent a car might be something you want to put in transportation. So you can keep track of that in transportation. Or you don't even have to. You can just plug all your transactions into vacation and keep track of it that way. I just typically move the money into the correct category once that happens. And so that's usually what I use trips for. Same with my savings goals, like this new TV that's coming up. Once I'm done with that, then I'll put it into miscellaneous expenses for my house or what have you. Or you could just keep it there. You could just keep the transaction associated with that savings goal. It can kind of get messy after a while because you have a lot of them and you got to hide them and this and that. And I just don't see any reason in doing all that. So that's why I typically do it like that. Okay. And then of course you see I have job loss fund. That's more like an emergency fund. So in case I ever lose my job or what have you. So it's basically like an emergency fund. But I don't technically have an emergency fund. And the reason why is because if I'm budgeting properly and saving for things properly, it'll be handled in my budget, because I include like appliances, large replacement fund, appliances, small furniture, HVAC, right, maintenance. And I have a lot more categories in my regular budget, but this is just the demo. So but if I'm budgeting right and I have everything that I can think of pertaining to my life in here, that's technically my emergency fund spread out, because I'll create little targets for each of those to save $1, $5 a month, in each of those. So it builds it up and everything. So if I ever need it, it's there to utilize, right? And that's basically what YNAB does. It gives every dollar that's in your checking accounts a job, so you know what it is. And maybe you don't have to use it that month. Maybe it's not a monthly thing. Maybe it's a yearly expense. Maybe it's just every 3 months expense. This is all helps you track all of that, so you're ready for it when it hits. Okay. And then over here to the right in this column here, we have our funding, or how we assign our money. Okay. So as you see right now, it's underfunded by $38.47. Well, that's because of what? It's because of this credit card bill, or this credit card thing where it says, hey, you need to assign $38.47 months to stay on track of this goal that you set up earlier. And we'll go over that a little bit later, but I had a December payoff of such and such, and so maybe it's $38. And so that's what that underfunded means. It means that you got to assign that to that. Okay. Now, a lot of times when you set up all these goals, you're going to wind up having a lot here to be that needs to be funded, and some not. Assign last month is pretty cool. If you want to click on this and just assign everything you had to last month. Now I just started this budget here, this demo budget, so there's nothing to assign from the last month. Spent last month is really helpful if you want to know how much you spent last month. Average assigned, average spent, reset available amounts, and then reset assigned amounts. And we'll go over that in later episodes. I very rarely ever have to use any of that. And then down here you got leftover from last month, assigned in November, and then activity. Okay. And then up right here, if you've used YNAB for a while, it'll tell you how many days worth of money you have available here. Okay, so maybe you have 21 days, 40 days worth of money here. You want to try to get at least 60 days, I think, right here. And that is basically this whole month fully funded, and the next month fully funded, right? And then basically this up here is what you have ready to sign. Now, whenever you do a paycheck or whatever money that's coming into you, when you click that add transaction, you can put in the payee's name, right? Maybe you're getting paid from your job, and then you're going to go over here to category and select ready to assign, and then put in the amount of your paycheck right there. And when you do that, it's going to wind up coming over here into this section. But the reason why I had this 8,000 here is because I just created my accounts, so it's using this amount here for ready to assign. So all of this money in my account has not been assigned, and all I have to do is click on the assign, and I can choose to assign it piece by piece by manual, or I can do auto assign. Okay. Now when you do auto assign, it's going to assign it based upon what you set up your goals for. So let's say, for instance, my groceries. Maybe I said, well, I'm going to spend $600 a month on my groceries, right? Well, if you look up here to assign, you'll see now it says I'm underfunded by $600. So I can click that underfund, and it'll automatically take $600 from this $8,000 and put it right here in the assign column. And that's how that works. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how I go about creating the goals for each of these categories and how I wind up setting all of that up. So therefore, I have somewhere to put my money, right? Because right now I have no idea where I need to put it unless I have goals associated with it. And so you got to go through your whatever. If maybe you used a budgeting app before, maybe you can print up a spreadsheet, or maybe you've saved it some other way, or maybe you just kind of guessing. Maybe you don't have a budget. Maybe this is the first time you're budgeting. Well, make an educated guess, and then as the months progress, you'll kind of get used to how much you really did spend in that category, and you'll kind of rein it in and get it right and everything. But that's the only way you're going to be able to do it for creating your targets, because you got to create targets in order to make this work. Okay. So basically that is what I wanted to show y'all in this episode. Now, like I say, in the next episode, we'll go over how I go ahead and create my targets for this so that YNAB works really well for you. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, just feel free right down below to put your questions down there in the comment section. And if you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help this channel get these videos out there to everybody else who might need it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and want to see more of these videos in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And with that being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll catch you next episode. Take care.